On God, this game is peak. You know, I could probably make something like this. 2D platformers aren't that hard to make, right? It'll be fun. It'd probably only take me like a year. All great games start with a great core idea. So here's my elevator pitch. We got Celeste, and we have Titanfall. These are two indescribably amazing games. These games, however, are very, very different from each other. But here's how I plan to merge them. Well, I want to take all of the things that I love about Titanfall, which is the movement mechanics in the way that you can build speed and momentum, and put that into a genre which I really love, 2D platformers. And hey, I know, 2D platformers are very overdone, but I have created something incredibly unique, and in my own research, I haven't actually seen anything that is really similar at all to my game. So give me a chance, okay? With that core idea in mind, I moved on to writing a game design document. Yeah, the entire document's kinda slop, and I barely reference it anymore, but still glad I wrote it, I guess. It was good to just get all my ideas out and onto a page. So this is my previous experience with game making. Yeah, so I've never really made anything that's super, professional. These are all just high school projects, essentially. Because of that, the code is radioactive sludge, so I want to start afresh. This unfortunately means I get to start my project in tutorial hell, which is located just below the 9th layer. Right there. There it is. So after about 2 weeks of watching so many goddamn tutorials, I never want to see or look at another tutorial ever again. I eventually got to a point where I was able to just add in whatever mechanic I wanted. We got the slide, the boost, and the ledge vault. I spent a long time in this prototyping phase actually, probably about another month. It let me refine the movement system a lot and make everything just feel really nice to play. I then moved on to actually adding levels to the game. Now, the first level attempts were disastrous, to say the least, because my first playtests went like this.
My fault.
Yeah, this is not a tutorial level sort of death count, I'll be honest. But all this meant is that I needed to just go back and make the levels way, way better. So for the next couple months, all I did was wake up, grind out a couple levels, get them playtested by my friends, crash out, have an existential crisis, and then go to sleep. And I just repeated that over and over and over again until I finally had levels which were slightly less dog shit. After getting the tutorial area in a place that I was happy with, I decided to start adding some sound effects, so you didn't have to listen to the call of the void every time you played the game. I'm not going to go too in depth on this, I will definitely change them. Most of the sound effects sound horrible, and they're made for a different concept for the player. Here is what they're sounding like though. Have fun figuring out what the sounds are actually used for. Not my problem. I then finally started thinking about changing the stick of butter, which is currently the player character, as well as adding something that wasn't just placeholder sprites for the art. Now, I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but I need to figure out a way to make my game look at least semi-presentable. So I spent a month just learning pixel art and trying to figure out how to actually draw. Who could have guessed though? 1 month wasn't enough to become a professional artist. I did, however, come up with a style for my game. By keeping the color palette very minimal and the shading to almost none, I was able to create a style which looked pretty decent while also being achievable at my skill level. With the art and levels all done for the tutorial area, this is what it's looking like. This is the point where all of the mechanics have coalesced together to create a truly unique movement system, with the freedom to allow for every boost, slide, and ledge vault to build momentum. Although it had taken many iterations of the game, I was finally happy with the core mechanics and the simplistic art style. which allowed me to finally move on to the second area. For this area, I added in a boost recharge, moving hazards, as well as these black borders that close in, which force the player to go faster. Also, all of the art assets, but you have eyeballs, so I don't really know why I'm pointing it out. To get to this point, it took a lot of playtesting though, and I'll forever look back on these playtests very fondly. What the fuck?
My pain and suffering.
Fucking jump.
I'm going insane. Kill! Murder. Fucking terrorist. Monkey souls, please!
Big thanks to my playtesters. Very cool. Yeah, it took an extra couple months to actually fix those levels and make them playable. Although I was very happy with the core gameplay itself, I had a lot of ideas for polish changes I could make to the movement system that would make it just feel a lot better. So I took a break from making levels and focused purely on how the game felt to play, without actually touching any of the core movement mechanics. If you want to know all the changes I made, have fun reading, or watch the 40-minute long yap sesh. But this is what the game is looking like now. With the second area done, I started thinking about actually uploading a demo or a playtest to Steam. I also started work on a third area as well. Before that though, today we will be reviewing all of the bugs from my game, and then putting them in a tier list based off how much suffering they caused me, because I couldn't figure out a more elegant way to talk about them. So this is the stuck in wall bug. Took me a couple days to figure out. Some stuff to do with subpixels, ton of nerdy bullshit which you probably don't actually care about. So yeah, that's going in the stub a toe section. I think next we'll do the shader bug. I'm feeling this deserves to go in the Brad is getting defiled tier. I didn't click the correct box, and therefore I had to spend a day trying to find the box that I actually needed to click. This one did drive me a little bit insane. The freeze bug. This, I'm gonna say it only sent me to the mental asylum. I would put it in domestic terrorism, but I'm not going to because it only came up infrequently. Next we'll go with the warp bug. So the warp bug was just a little annoying. You know, you're able to teleport through and get to the other side of stuff. That only took me like an hour to figure out. Go with this one. Memory leak. So for this one, I'll put in, this one's close. Did it piss me off as much? No, it did piss me. Honestly, let's put it here. It actually pissed me off more than the freeze bug, because it took several days to debug, of straight debugging, before I finally found the one line of code where I hadn't properly cleared the surface. So that put me in the mental asylum. So that one can stay there. This is the ghosting, so the monitor ghosting. I thought that Snow, what do you think? Domestic terrorism or mental asylum? Actually, yeah, this is just a Brad is getting defiled tier. This is the misalignment. This isn't really a bug. It's just that I'm stupid. So for all of the other previous levels I'd done, they'd all been in different sizes and alignments, which means when I finally needed to add the tile sets in, they wouldn't paint over properly. Which meant that for the 50 or so levels I had made, or however many levels, I had to go through and fix all of them. And this is just coding in general. So do you have anything to add? Alright, back to the devlog. As I was saying, I started working on a third area. At the same time, I submitted everything I needed to get a Steam page up and running. Now, submitting the Steam application was... But what consumed most of my time was doing all the capsule art for the Steam page. The other thing, which took way longer than it should have taken, is figuring out how to actually upload your game to Steam as a playtest, because the documentation they have laid out is straight up wrong. It links to like a 6-7 year old video which is just out of date and isn't relevant anymore. But it's still on the official documentation for whatever reason. Like, what the fucking John, man? Why is it there? But I did finally decide on a name for my game. I'm sure you can get it in one guess. If you can't, you might be stupid. But with all of that said, we're up to date. After an entire year, I have 2 whole completed areas and an open playtest up on Steam, as well as this sand area that I'm still currently working on. It's not completed yet, so I'm not really counting it. Thank you so much for watching, fellas. I really appreciate it. And if you've watched to the end, you'll probably really enjoy the rest of the content I'm gonna make. So make sure you subscribe, as well as like the video, all of that YouTube bullshit, as well as wish listing the game on Steam. That's the big one. You know what? Just try the game. You'll probably like it. Maybe you won't. Yeah, I didn't. Gone. Bye bye.